Break generational crap. Partner with things like validation and compassion and acceptance and love. That this person is worthy of that. You're worthy of the energy. You're worthy of the effort. You're worthy of the money. You're worthy of the time. I'm really proud of you. For real. Just take a deep breath. 4 in, hold for 6, let out for 7. So glad that you're proud of yourself, Haley. What's one thing you can appreciate about yourself? I want you to think about it. Yes. Doing the work. So good. Grit. So good. Willingness to keep going, keep trying. So good. Open and trying to grow. It's a lot of pause tonight. I just sense the Lord pausing. Lord, we just accept your pause. Accept your pause, Lord. I want to move only when you say move, God. Oh, he's so good, you guys. Let's tap into him right now. Let's just pause for a moment. Let's put aside all of our questions and put aside all of our doings and put aside all of the day. Anyone who's frustrated or struggling, let's just put that aside. If you're excited, let's just put that aside just for a moment and let's pause. Father, just thank you for this moment. And if your mind wanders, it's okay. Pull it back. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. What encouraging words are you getting right now? I keep hearing you can do it. Everything I've put in front of you, you can do. There's hope. I love that. Peace and just be still. So good. Happiness in my heart. He's with me. That's my favorite. Be in the moment. So good. I am love. Yes. You took a step today. Oh, so good. Right? Let those words encourage you, right? Give you courage. That's what it is. I can receive. He wants me to be me. So good. Be encouraged. Like, let it give you courage. You're beautiful. All that I thought was lost turned out to be gain. So true. Some of the most horrible things I've gone through have been the best things for me. I have so much more for you. Oh, yes. Yes. So good. All right. I'm feeling a shift, guys. So what I want to do now is I want 3 people. The best is yet to come. Woo! I want 3 people, okay, to post in the chat because I want to shift this energy now. I don't know who all knows, but, and I hope this is okay, but Jessie is having a boy. Jessie, wave. Jessie is our moderator. She helps moderate the chat. She's an alive and free girl, and she's having a boy. And it was just on my heart that I wanted 3 people to either get a prophetic word or speak some words of like destiny and purpose and, you know, goodness over the baby. So tell me, sorry, Jessie, I hope it's okay that I told everybody. I mean, you put it on Facebook, so I assumed.
Okay, this is amazing. Yes. So
but you ladies are so good at encouragement and stuff. And so who wants to unmute themselves and take like 30 seconds to a minute? Just speak life over the baby. Do you have a name picked out, Jessie?
Not yet. We have some ideas.
Okay, great. Maybe you'll get a word tonight that goes bing, bing, bing. That's the name.
Yeah. I was thinking that too.
Congratulations.
Okay, Jess, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Go for it.
Jessie, this is your first child? Okay, I'm going to speak a blessing over you.
So good.
Lord God, I thank you for Jessie. I thank you that you knew from before time that Jessie was going to hold this precious life in her body. You made this little boy before time. You know who he is going to become, all the people he is going to interact with. You know the number of his breaths. You know how he is going to affect his mother and his father, the friends he will have, even the enemies he will make, and all the ways that he will be victorious in this life and in the next. Lord God, I just release Jessie and the father also from any expectation or from any weighty heaviness to make this child into the being that you have already destined him to become. I thank you, Lord, that the health and all of the goodness that he has, you have already wrapped up in his being, and it will unfold in your perfect timing. Father God, I release any pain or pressure that she has had from her own childhood, from her own past with her mother or with her father, or any fears that she has in her relationships, Father, that she would be free from them in the name of Jesus. I speak love over her and over her body, Lord. I pray that as she forms this precious being, that she would be at rest and at peace, that as her body shifts and changes, that she would know and she would feel and she would sense your goodness inside of her physical being. In Jesus' name, amen.
So good. Jesse, I got your baby is gonna be like the salt. You know how we are the salt of the world, and he's gonna bring flavor where he goes. He's gonna bring um but at the same time, like I see a big personality, but at the same time very grounding. So like, yes, salt, but salt of the earth kind of person, whereas like sturdy and stable and grounding for others. That he's gonna bless, like just his presence is gonna bring peace and calm. um yeah, big personality, but with lots of like grounding presence, so not chaotic. Like some big personalities can be chaotic. He's gonna be very grounding, the salt of the earth kind of dude. Yeah. uh when Melanie said Jesse was having a baby boy, I immediately heard he's going to be a charmer. Oh. Could just be me, who knows. Yes, big personality charmer. Yes. I want to give room for one more person.
Is it okay if I jump in?
Yes, please.
Okay. I had a picture. I just like immediately heard exuberance, and I think it kind of goes along with that. But I like saw a picture of like him standing on the beach, and just like the sun, and just like the joy of like, you know, that feeling of being at the beach. Like that's just like, you know, his happiest place. And yeah, that he's just going to be such a joy and a presence for other people. Congratulations, Jesse.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Karis, as well. That was beautiful.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Yeah.
I'm beaming. This is amazing. Thank you.
I also feel like he's going to be grounding to you specifically, Jesse. Like any kind of anxiety or any kind of like, what kind of mom am I going to be? When you hold that baby, he's going to ground you. It's going to click. It's going to be like, boom. There's going to be something in his eyes, something about his presence. You're just going to know you were meant for this. He's going to ground you, girl. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to love it.
So good. Oh, thank you.
That's so fun.
Thanks.
Okay. Who's first, Jesse?
Justine is first.
Justine. Hey. I'm eating a snack. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Can I show you what I'm eating? Have you ever had these?
I can't because of the dairy.
Oh, does it have dairy in it?
Well, it's white cheddar.
It's vegan.
Oh, well then maybe not.
Yeah. Check them out. They're so good. If you miss cheese puffs, these are awesome.
All right.
And they have protein.
That's good.
All right. We didn't get on here to talk about my snack preferences, but
my question, or more of a statement, I guess, is that I love to absorb and learn, and then I love to share it whenever, like, if somebody says something's going on in their life, I'm like, oh, that I like just learned this is totally relatable to share to them. But I feel like actually doing the homework for myself, that isn't quick, like the pausing thing and like, what do you hear? I'm like, I don't hear anything. Prophetic word, I'm like, yep, nope, got nothing. Like, I know, I think they said the codependent thing, if you want to help other people, but I also feel like it's good to want to help other people. God created women to be helpers, but in a healthy extent. So it's the part about like actually things that would help me to do the homework.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
What if you put a boundary on yourself that you're not allowed to share about it until you do the work of it?
I don't like that.
Thank you for being honest. You don't like that. Tell me why.
Because I feel like if something comes up and I know the answer or how to validate somebody in that moment, like, why would I pass that up?
Now, tell me what do you get when you help somebody? Like, what's the payoff for you?
I think in some sense it ingrains that truth or whatever it is that I'm helping them with even further inside of me.
It's true.
Because you learn better like when you teach other people.
It's true. It's true. But it hasn't helped you motivate to do your own work. So where do you think the disconnect is?
I don't know.
Well, let's pause for a moment and actually take that space. I think it's really like an energy shift of as much energy as you give out. Like, let's say you have 100 pennies of energy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're always giving out 90 of them, and you keep 10 for yourself. But that's not actually accomplishing what you need in your life. So where can you pull energy from that gives you more pennies so that you have energy to spend on yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That's the codependent issue. You're always giving away your pennies, you never have any left over for you. That's when it becomes a problem. Or when the minimal, right? You have scraps or the leftovers, right? Where can you actually put yourself first instead of everybody else, right? Spend that energy on you instead. And it might not look like doing homework, right? It might look like saying no to something, right? Like that might be the big homework to do. Like, does that make sense?
Mostly, yeah.
Tell me what thoughts you got as I was sharing that.
That I, even if I have some free time because I've said no to other people, I'm not motivated to do homework.
What do you not like about the homework that's not attractive?
That's a good question. I think the lesson 3 it said to have a partner. So then there was one girl that I had connected with through Alive and Free. Then I'm like, okay, like I'll do it with her, and she just needs to watch week 3 first before doing that. But I haven't heard back from her yet, which is fine. I'm like, maybe I'll just watch week 4 before I hear back from her. But even the one thing when it was like, go like write down painful childhood memories. So I made a list 1 to 18. I'm like, let me think of one for each year of my life. And then I'm like, wow, there's like a lot for each year of my life. And it's just overwhelming how much there is, and like actually getting into the emotion of it is a harder thing for me to do.
Yeah. Do you stuff your emotions? Tell me what your relationship with your emotions has been like.
I think there is a large part of stuffing, but there's also like there is a processing of that, and I'm able to draw other people out and help them to process their emotions. So it doesn't make sense to me why I wouldn't be able to draw myself out and process my emotions. But there is a go ahead.
You know what it is kind of like? It's like the woman who goes around helping everyone else clean their house, but they don't take the time to clean their own.
Oof.
And then they go, why is my house so messy all the time? I'm so exhausted. I always constantly cleaning. Yeah, you're cleaning the wrong house, right? Like you're cleaning everyone else's houses, but there's no energy for your own.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scenario that I'm talking about. So that woman would need to stop cleaning she doesn't mean she has to stop cleaning everyone's home, right? Like I never recommend, and I don't believe in an all or nothing kind of thing. But she does need to pull back.
Yeah.
She does need to like say, okay, Where do I actually prioritize my own needs?
Mhm.
Even if it's something I don't want to do. And this is where parenting yourself comes in, right? Self-love would better be labeled as self-parenting, because that's what real self-love is. It's where you become the parent of yourself and give yourself what you actually need. No, darling, we're going to do our homework tonight. We're going to brush our teeth. We're going to go to bed at a decent time, right? Like that's true self-love. Self-love's not time with friends and wine nights and baths, bubble baths. That can be part of it, but that's not what real self-love is. So, if I had a daughter that was doing those things, I'd be like, hey, baby girl, like, why are you busy cleaning everyone else's house and you're ignoring your own? What is it that you're trying to avoid?
So 10 years ago, my first year of college, I remember people I was at Liberty University, encouraging me to pray about being a prayer leader. And in my mind, I was like, why do I need to pray about that? I already know that I want to be. But then I was like, how would I actually hear and know from the Lord? Like, what if he is telling me no? Would I hear it? And then I through pursuing that process, I was very convicted of pride. But then all of my thoughts started turning against me. I just started overthinking everything and questioning my salvation. And I journaled a lot in that time. And seeing all of the overthinking, I'm like, I don't want to journal. I don't know how to, I guess, in doing the homework, journal. I'm afraid that I'm going to get to the journaling and it's going to be an overthinking thing again, or I'm not going to hear the Holy Spirit again. And then I'm going to be mad at him. And I'm just going to have a few words on the page and throw the pen and then I'm done.
Get that. Yeah. Yeah. So what you're describing to me sounds like, the old tool of shame, right? Shaming yourself into trying to behave or trying to be whatever the thing you want to be is, right? And that tool didn't work. It overwhelmed you, right? And so uh, those moments of shame, like let's say you do journal, let's say it does happen exactly as you just said. You stop and you're like, all right, I see you, shame. I will not partner with you. Go back where you came from. I invite the voice of true love. I invite the voice of God to tell me who I am. God's voice does not criticize. God's voice does not, and you go down the list and you're reminding yourself, your nervous system, like, this is who God really is and this is who we really are. We are not the things that, whatever gets spit out, right? And so, you overcoming that will be a process that looks like that, where you have to face it when it happens. And so in the moment that it happens, you be your champion, you be your confidant, you be the fighter and say, no, we're not going there. So it's that solution. Have you done any of Heather's old videos?
Mm-mm.
I highly recommend Heather for you, because
Okay.
she goes through a whole thing about thoughts and feelings. So, our feelings come from our thoughts. And so if you don't like what you're feeling, trace it back to your thought and change your thought, because we have power over our thoughts. We really do. The thing sometimes it's a process that doesn't always work for people, because here at the emotion point, you haven't validated enough, right? So there's shame here at the emotion part. How could you feel that way? Da, 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 right? You shouldn't feel so emotional over that. It's not, there's all those should things. And so if the thought process, reworking a thought isn't helping, check to see if you're shaming your emotions or stuffing your emotions or whatever, right? Because that emotional part might need validated. It might need compassion. It's that little girl version of you that you're going to pull in and say, it's okay. It's okay that you feel that way. You're allowed. Feelings are just messengers. What is this feeling trying to tell us? Oh, it's telling us that we feel alone and sad and that we're not good enough. Okay, that's a good message for me to know that's going on the inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this coming from? Oh, the thought over here that got triggered when so and so said such and such to me. Oh, do we actually believe that? Do we want, because sometimes there's things we don't believe still running around in our heads. They're taking up residence still. And you're like, oh, I haven't even taken the time to kick that out all the way. Because with thoughts, you have, they've shown it, right? Where when someone starts thinking a new thought, Heather will share, takes 63 days to form a new thought. Now, in the MRIs and the studies that they've done, they've shown when someone's new thought lights up, it's really bright, and that old thought is still there. It's just a little dim. So when those old thoughts are still kind of talking a little bit, we have to address that and keep feeding the new thought, because those new brain thoughts are like pathways in a field, right? They're gonna really just keep getting bigger and broader and bigger and broader the more you run it and the more people run it, right? So those new thoughts are really important to think and journal. So shift your journaling when it turns into this kind of like spiral thing, shift it to the thoughts you actually want. No, I don't want to think that about myself. That actually doesn't align with any truth. The important thing about new thoughts, you have to grab onto a thought that actually feels true. That's how you get successful in this. So people who think they're ugly, I don't tell them to go stand in front of a mirror or journal about how beautiful they are. That's not going to connect anywhere. But I'll say, I want you to write about how you're learning what's beautiful about yourself. I want you to go tell yourself in the mirror, I'm learning about your beauty. I'm going to fight for you. And then if something pops up, one thing you can say that's beautiful. Oh, I have beautiful eyes. That feels absolutely true. My eyes are beautiful. And then it gets contagious. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and I love my arms. Actually, when I wear that one shirt, woo girl, that looks so good. Those jeans, I got a nice butt actually. And so like all of a sudden, right, like these scales are falling off and they're starting to be able to see stuff that they couldn't see before because they were drowning in the shame or the dysfunction of their thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Tell me your thoughts.
Just trying to register, like keep it all in here, even though I know I can go back and read it, watch it. But I think the takeaway in that is that there, like if I can't trace back the thought, it's because I'm shaming the emotion.
Yeah.
And so I got to comfort that part. And I really like the part about like journaling out the baby girl, like what I would be saying to baby girl type thing. There was a time like 6 years ago when I started working for a church, and the burnout like was immediate. And I remember like I think I was shaming myself for not like being in constant conversation with the Lord, and but then still trying, and then asking him stuff. But then what I was hearing, I was like, that's not him. But why would I hear that? Like, why would he say I don't belong to him? And just like being really freaked out by all of that. And when you said like God's voice isn't critical,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a feeling in my heart, a weight of sadness and relief at the same time, because I've received so many critical thoughts from other people and from myself, and those aren't from the Lord. So it's like, but I'm always wanting to hear from him. So it's like, well, if I want to hear from him, but I'm only hearing critical things, then I didn't think I thought this until just now, but like maybe subconsciously I've been thinking that those thoughts were from him, but they can't be from him if they're not critical. I mean, if they are critical, because he's not.
Right.
So.
Right. And we can get lost in that a little bit. You're not alone in that. I've been right where you're at. So it's totally normal, especially when we have shame. I'm gonna try and think if I share this or not. So my mentors have told me that, you know, Adam and Eve in the garden, when they saw that they were naked, right? That they covered themselves up with fig leaves because they were ashamed, right?
Mhm.
And I just love this story. I love this connection. And then they shared with me, you know, in the New Testament, when Jesus goes to the fig tree and there's no fruit on it, and he curses it for not having fruit, and then he tells it will never be fruitful again. They take that as Jesus, it's like multi-layered. And one of the layers is that God was speaking to the fig leaves that were used in shame
Mm.
to cover up their sin, and that fruit of shame would not be fruitful. So that's just for anyone who loves scripture and loves to see like connections.
Yeah, I do.
For me, that speaks. It speaks so much. And so remember that some of this stuff is spiritual and some of this stuff is just you've picked up, like the enemy came and dropped a bomb on you and he handed you the football that is loaded with explosives and said, here, run with this. And you're like, okay. And you're running with it. Right. So it's just unlearning, both spiritually and unlearning naturally. Like, what have I taught? What has people in my world taught me? What did I take from them and continue with? Like you shared the shaming voices in your life. Because the truth is, our inner voice is the voice of our caregivers, their outer voice. So, how our caregivers talk to us is how we end up talking to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if those were full of shame, or if you internalized, right? Sometimes people don't mean to be shaming, they're just trying to be helpful, but it comes across shaming and that internalizes inside as I'm not enough, I'm not good, I'm bad. Then we're walking around with that voice inside because nobody uprooted that for us.
Mm-hmm.
But you can.
Got to move on to week 4.
And as far as like the friend who hasn't done it yet, just ask her if she has capacity for it. Say, hey girl, I'm just checking in with you to see if you have capacity for this. Because if you don't, that's no big deal, no problem. But I might ask somebody else if that's okay with you if you don't have capacity. And then it releases her to be in her process and it releases you to maybe find someone else. But you could also offer to her, but I'm willing to wait. Right? I'm willing to wait. And I can move on to number 4 if you only need a week, or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you put your hand on your heart for me?
Sure.
Justine, you're doing really good.
Am I supposed to do that out loud?
Yeah, you can say it out loud. You can let me say it, whichever one you want.
You got it. Keep going.
What do you want to do?
You go.
You are doing really good. I'm impressed by your questions. I'm impressed by your process. I think you're actually very connected to yourself. I think there's a lot that you already know. I want you to know, like, everything is in here. Everything is in here. And this process is about tapping into it. You got it. You got it all inside right here. So love yourself, parent yourself, do the work. I know you can. You're worth it. You are worth that energy. I think if anything you could walk away from this program with is you seeing your worth and the energy, and those questions about other people and you, those get solved. And it's a fulfillment, right? You're loving your neighbor as yourself. And then that pours out and allows God to love you even more. And allows you to love God more because those walls are down and you're not like trying to figure everything out. You just rested.
Thank
You're
you.
doing good. You can't fail, by the way. You can't fail. Okay, who's next?
Brianna.
Hello?
Brianna, hello.
Hello. I'm gonna be home in like 2 minutes.
Nice.
So hopefully the connection's fine. But how are you?
I'm good. Drinking some water, sitting outside.
That's a good plan. I just wanted to say, like, I just like so admire you as just like how you mother us and like the fieriness in you. And it was almost kind of offensive to me at first, I think, like
Yes.
and now I'm like, I want that. Like I think it offended the passive part of me, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I just really admire that, and I love that about you, that you are like, you go after things. And just like hold space for other people to grow in like humility. But oh my goodness, my mother. I have so much pain with my mom, but I don't, sorry, I'm gonna like turn off my video for a minute.
Sure.
I don't really, like, I'm not really connected to it, and I don't really know how to be connected to the pain.
Okay.
So my mom is in a very like codependent relationship, and she's like enabled my dad's behavior. And they're still together. He's definitely a narcissist, and she like acknowledges that. But I think, and I've always acknowledged like the pain my dad has caused me, maybe not the like neglect part, but more just the abuse. And now I'm realizing how my mom has partnered with it. And I almost feel like gaslighted by her, kind of.
Yeah.
But I just don't quite have like the story clear in my mind, and it almost feels like I was unpacking it a little bit with a friend, and I just felt like I felt like there's this post, but I felt like there's this whole other thing going on that I've just like kind of pushed aside and haven't been able to acknowledge fully, and still can't. So I don't know, my question's kind of twofold. Like, I also am wanting to make changes in how I relate to my family, and my mom asked me the other day if like I could come over for my birthday, and I just don't feel comfortable being around my dad right now. And I'm just kind of wanting to get clear like what I want and how I can talk to her about that, and how I can have a conversation with her about how her like enabling my dad has affected me. And not only that, but like her partnership with the judgment my dad has, like that's very kind of hard to detect, but like super passive. Like she just was never quick to disagree with some of the like harmful things comments my dad would make about like women's bodies, or about her, or just in general. My dad is like a super critical person, and she kind of like sits there and agrees with the majority. Sometimes she'll disagree, but like just how I think I've never really acknowledged how that is.
Hey, Brianna. You're breaking up, Brianna. Hey, Brianna.
In general.
Brianna, it's breaking up.
And so I guess
You're breaking. Hello. Hello. There we go. Go ahead and say something. See if I hear it.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I think it's just connecting to Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So it's probably why it's being weird. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
your mom, last thing I heard was your mom
Sorry about that.
sits and judges with your dad. Like he'll say critical things, but she's just sitting there passive. But is she agreeing with him as well? Oh, looks like it's acting up again.
A lot of the time, like, she isn't.
Are you there? Go ahead and try turning off your video again and see if that helps. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that'll help.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, you're coming through now. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's tricky because she disagrees with some stuff. Some stuff she just passively listens to, and then other things I can like hear her agreeing with. But it's not super like there's not one thing that she's constantly doing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to have this conversation with your mom.
Yeah, and also just like there's ways that she didn't like disagree with some of the things I would say growing up. Like I remember her always doing my hair and me being like super critical of how I looked. And her just kind of being like, sorry, like I can't do better, or like rather than like affirming who I was. And like she never called me beautiful or like said she was proud of me or like any of those things.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just a lot of shame in general.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So mom projected her shame onto you.
Yeah, definitely.
So your goal, a couple things. You shared about not being able to feel the pain. And
yeah,
I'm not surprised. And so because you talked about that you feel gaslighted and you haven't even fully acknowledged, like you haven't been able to pin down exactly the narrative, right? And so
yeah,
it's hard to have feelings about something, right, that you're confused over,
yeah.
right? And so the
No,
pain,
totally.
the pain's a little bit squiggly, and so it's like you're going to like hit it, and it's just like whack-a-mole, right? You're like and so I wouldn't worry about the pain part as much as how are you going to deal with the gaslighting? How are you going to deal with acknowledging? Because the pain, right?
Yeah.
The pain's going to come. The pain's going to knock on your door and you get a chance to open it up and invite it in for coffee and say, okay, what do you want to tell me? Right? And so, yeah, I think the clarity part is really the top need for you. What do you think you need clarity on?
I'm going to join on my computer. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
I think I need clarity on like the gaslighting thing and like the deepness of where that goes. Like I don't really understand what happened. I think I just kind of hardly unpacked it and then just kind of like put it back. Yeah.
Okay. When you, are you are you fight, flight, freeze, or fawn?
Mm,
Fight and freeze, I think. I've kind of heard a little bit about fawn. I don't think I do that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so the freeze is also part of this, okay? Because the freeze happens in your nervous system. And so trying to find the clarity, right, is going to, if you feel triggered, if you end up triggered in your amygdala, then that hormone wash and that, oh, you're in danger feeling, whoop, we're going to freeze. And so there's shutdown. You're not going to be able to make connections of dots, right? Because you're in freeze mode. And so, and that deserves compassion. That deserves thankfulness, right? Like, thank your nervous system that it's helped you. Thank your nervous system that it's protected you. But also remind your nervous system you're safe here. We are capable. We are capable. We're learning new tools. We're figuring this out. We can do this. It's okay. It's okay to do it messy. It's okay to do it wrong. We can clean up our mess, right? And so in the pursuit of you figuring this gaslighting piece out, right, that is also going to require you to be on your side so that you feel safe here before you go outward trying to figure out the dots. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because I think a part of me is like thinks my mom's a victim and like wants to protect her rather than protecting like me. Yeah.
Right. And that might be a great thing for you to start either. So like in forming new thoughts, you guys, it's a write it, say it kind of thing. You want to, if you can write about it, that's great. If you can speak it out, that's great. Look at yourself in the mirror and speak it out. That's awesome too, because you're co-regulating. Like, it's that staring yourself in the eye and giving yourself that attention is really valuable, especially if anyone has shame when you look in the mirror. But anyway, so a little side note for everybody. What was the last thing you said? I lost my train of thought.
That I feel like my mom's a victim.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that thought, mom is not a victim, right? Mom's chosen into this because she has. And I'm not responsible for mom. I'm not responsible to save mom. Mom has her own process separate from me. And so having that is going to be really important for you, probably every time you go to see her. I would have your like mantra on this every time you go to see her. It's hard when you love people to watch them suffer. It's really hard. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, right? Like I'm an aunt. I have a lot of roles in my life, a lot of people that I love, and it's very hard to watch them suffer. It's very hard to not take ownership for them. The worst thing I've ever done in all of my roles is take ownership of their problem. It's the worst thing I've ever done. It's not real love. Yeah. So what does it look like for you to have a process? Like you said, you're not seeing your dad. Is that true?
Just recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for setting that boundary.
Thanks.
It's hard. It's really hard. And, you know, that's you showing up for you, right? Has mom shamed you for it? Try to get you to talk you out of it?
Yeah, like it's so hard though, because like she doesn't see it as shame, like for sure. But I think just me moving out, she was like so like not on board, like just, and then like it took her like other people being like, oh, like that'll be good for her, like for her to finally kind of be on board with it. And I just could imagine me being like, I don't want to come over to your house because your husband's there. Like I could imagine that being just kind of like the undercurrent of shame, but not like straight, um, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, which kind of makes, I mean, I just often feel the emotion I often feel around her is like really angry or like passive aggressive. And I've felt that my whole life, but I've always like not understood why. Yeah.
So mom's partnered with powerlessness and deciding that she doesn't see that she's choosing, but she's actually choosing.
Yeah.
And so she's taken a role of life is happening to me and I have no say. Look at me. I suffer for all of you.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
why don't you all do for me? Because
And
I
that,
always do for you.
yeah, that's the same like mindset I've had is like I'm suffering, like, you know, kind of like powerless, just like stay in it, and like a pridefulness about like staying in it.
Mhm.
And it's like really kind of hard to detect, but like it's just like the internal world I think that a lot of my family has.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to realize as you fight this, you're not just fighting your own problems, you're fighting the problems of generations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because your mom didn't get that on her own either. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She got it from somewhere too. And she's fighting the generations. You're fighting the generations.
Mm-hmm.
But you're actually you're choosing into something. You're choosing into a new way. The problem with this is that mom's not going to ever agree with it unless she does her own work. She will never. She's not going to understand it because she's going to want you to follow the system that she's created and how this works. I do, and cross boundaries and get involved, overly responsible. I don't hold anybody accountable, but I want you to be over responsible like me. And then let's just keep doing this because this is all I know. You're shaking up her systems. You're shaking up what's always worked for her. You're shaking up the place that she feels powerful because that feels like control. But control's an illusion.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So I want to know, do you want to do, I want to see about, well, let me ask you again. What's the question you have?
How to talk to my mom about this stuff, and then like how to get a clear picture of actually like what happened, like why I'm so angry at her, but I can't quite like put it together because I feel like protective or like she's a victim.
Can you connect to the anger right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you feel it in your body?
I feel like in my like head and my neck.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What level, 1 to 10, what level is it at of intensity?
Maybe like a 3.
Okay. Do you think you could focus on it enough to get it to a 7?
I don't know.
Do you want to try?
Yeah, I could try.
This is what we're going to do is we're going to get connected to that feeling that you have in your body and connected to the anger, right? Like this is connected to the anger for you. I
Yeah.
want you to just settle in, kind of close your eyes or whatever's comfortable for you. If you need to turn off your video, you can.
Mhm.
But I want you to get where you can connect to that and get it to an intensity of a 7.
Okay.
And when you're there, let me know. And just let whatever comes come as you're thinking about this. And
I think it's like hard because my whole life I've like shut it down really fast. So like, because I feel like there's something wrong with me if I'm feeling angry.
right. Yeah, I wrote down reserved and holding it together. Like
Mhm.
you've been trained to reserve that, hold it back,
Yeah.
hold it together. Don't let any of that come forward.
Yeah.
I want you to practice that, okay? I want you to practice connecting to that in your body and notice it, right? This is about you giving space to notice it so that it can feel safe to come forward.
Yeah.
Because the more you give that space for it to come forward, the more it might actually come forward for you.
Mhm.
Does that feel like something you can do on your own?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then I want you to, how do you do with encounters? Are encounters with God easy for you?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I'd also like you on your own because I want you to take as much time as you need.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want you to ask the Lord or your heart about the anger.
Mm. Like what's actually going on in my heart.
Yeah. And for instance, I also want you to ask about a time that your mom projected her shame onto you.
Mhm.
For instance, you shared about doing hair.
Mhm.
You can even just use that example and just go there. And I want you to ask the Lord what was happening in that moment.
Mm. Okay. Wow.
I want you to see how as a little girl these were the moments that it was like the passing of the torch from mom to daughter.
Mm.
Here, take on the generations of suffering. Here, take on because I'm not connected enough and know how to deal with my own shame and insecurities. All I know to do is pass it down to you.
Mhm.
I want you to ask for a moment where you can see that passing of the torch, and then I want you to not receive the torch.
Mm.
I want you to say no in that encounter.
Okay. Yeah, it's crazy because like I've had back and neck pain since I was a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom has like the same exact spot and like same exact pain,
Interesting.
and it gets worse when I go home. Crazy.
If that's true for you, I think brain spotting would be so helpful. Brain
Mhm.
spotting helps deal with trauma that's stuck in your body.
Mhm.
And then like any kind of somatic healing where your body gets to have a say because it's been holding. So any kind of moments you can have with your body where you're honoring your body. When you feel pain, instead of going, ow, oh, that sucks, oh, this hurts, or whatever, or complaining about it, just honor your body and be like, I'm here. I get it.
Mm,
You've carried a lot for me, and I'm so thankful for your faithfulness to me.
mm,
You are not the reason I'm suffering. You are not to blame. I will not shame you. I remove shame off of you.
mhm.
You've done a good job, body. You deserve a medal and a trophy and a giant party in heaven where the whole world comes because you carried me through and I blamed you. Anyway, I'm getting silly about it, but for real at the same time, for real. Yeah. How does that feel? And then as far as your talk with your mom, really quickly,
Yeah.
I honestly think you already know what to say because you just in your articulating back to me what you want to say was really perfect.
Yeah.
Now, she's not going to receive it. And so I think you managing your expectations going into that conversation is your key
Mhm. Totally.
because you're actually, you have enough to say the right things, articulate it. What you're going to have to manage is I'm not responsible when mom's upset. I'm not responsible when she doesn't like what I just said.
Mm,
This I'm not, I do not own her, I do not own mom's emotions. Those aren't my problem. Her emotions are not my problem.
mhm. Yeah, that's good.
Now I know a lot of people want to bring the Lord into it. It's like, well, where's the Lord at? Like the Lord wants us to be kind and all of that. We are being kind. Like we do this in a very kind way.
Yeah.
But something so dysfunctionally out of balance, we have to do the work to bring it back. And so we can still have boundaries and still be kind. We can have boundaries. The Lord had boundaries. So he had lots of boundaries.
Yeah.
Yep. He had
Mhm.
lots of boundaries. So, all right. Thoughts? Does that feel good?
Yeah. It's helpful. Um, as far as my mom like gaslighting me, like
Mhm.
how is that a thing? I don't know if you could put words to it because yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Anytime your reality, I would just measure it by this. If
Mhm.
I share my reality and then your response is to deny my reality and you don't accept it at all, that's
Mhm.
gaslighting. I would put up um a big wall to that and say no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Because you know, we can have two different realities. Like if I'm in a relationship with you,
Mhm.
we will experience the same thing differently, right? There
Yeah.
will be times where that happens. So my reality different than your reality, right? The problem lies when I shame your reality, when I tell you your reality is wrong, when I tell you you were stupid for having that reality, when I blame you for your reality, when I don't acknowledge it, validate it, or give it respect at all. That's a huge problem.
What if like she helped shape a reality that's just like not true? Like for instance, like blaming everything on my dad, like every problem I have. So I feel like she agrees with that. And that's something I'm like, oh my word, like I've had relationships that are horrible with women
Mhm.
or that are very codependent.
Mhm.
And like it's totally just the pattern of how she interacts. But she's agreed that like it's just my dad that like did that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just things like that where it's like, oh, it doesn't even feel like reality either, you know? Or like it didn't feel like my reality.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just her in denial, not
Yeah.
accepting. And so a couple ways I would deal with that, depending on a lot of this depends on the stage, right? Of things happening. So like sometimes the stage is, okay, mom, we've talked about this several times and you're not even owning any part. Like I was raised by two parents. Where's your ownership here? Like it's actually not all dad. Can you see any place that it's actually partly you too?
Hmm.
And if she says no, then you can ask a question.
Yeah.
Would you like or would you mind if I share with you
Mm.
what my thoughts are? And it's always invitational, right? And so she can say no or she can say yes. And if she says no, then you understand that's her boundary. And she says no. Now, in that response, that has a consequence. Because if she doesn't want to actually know you, because that's her saying, I don't want to know you, then I would say, okay, that's fine. I understand that it can be hard to face the parts that we play in people's lives. I'll give you space to process that. Let me know when you're ready. And I don't want to actually have a conversation with you until you are. And you can draw that hard of a boundary, or you can say, I understand. And so moving forward, you and me talking about dad is off limits. Me and you talking about our problems, like any problems I have, I can't trust you. Here's why, Mom, because you're not taking any ownership. And if I can't trust you to take ownership, then I can't trust you. And so I won't be talking about my struggles, my problems. You're going to get a very surface level with me until we build up trust again. But I'd love to hear it when it does start unraveling to you, how you played a part in this. I'd love to hear it. I want to be close. I desire that closeness, but what we have right now is dysfunctional. Now, that's my verbiage, right? You put it in your verbiage, and again, always with kindness, always with agreement, always with understanding. You give to them what you'd hope they would give to you, but you hold very strong boundaries with someone like that. Very strong boundaries.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Super good. And like, yeah, that's how I feel. It's like, oh, I can't talk to her about my problems. Like, doesn't feel right without actually acknowledging what the problem is, you know?
Right. And, my daughter had to go through this where she thankfully had a mom that was going through the process, right? But there came a point that even when even me understand the process and how that works, I knew how to validate her, I knew all of it, she still needed me to be quiet for a season so that she could hear her own voice. Because she was so used to hearing all of our voices, she needed the space to hear her own. So much the more, imagine how I was thinking like, wow, she needed that space and I got it. How much more would someone who has parents who don't get it need?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Any other questions for you?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. You're doing great. I also want to share that I admire that, first of all, I triggered you and you ran to it. You didn't let that, like, you saw like, oh, what's here? What is here that I could actually get from here? I love that. I so admire that so much. So it's amazing. It's really good. Many people running from that stuff and you're like, oh, I'm gonna run to it. It's so great.
Thank you so much. Love you, Melanie.
Okay, Jesse, who's next?
All right, Jill Ellis is next.
Jill, oh, they're starting to mow next door. I'm gonna have to go inside, I think. Can you hear the mower?
I cannot.
Oh, good. Hi, Jill.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing decent. How are you?
I'm a little ball of anxiety.
I love that you.
It's my state of mind lately, but I'm going to work past it. So I just took some notes so my anxiety wouldn't derail me from what I wanted to talk about.
So good.
So some stuff has been coming up for me while I'm in a dating process. And I really feel like the key points around it is like self-worth, identity, some father pain, and healthy relationships. That's what's like fizzling in my mind. But if I can just kind of share a couple
Please.
things that might. So I've been dating 2 people.
Okay.
Early on dating, getting to know them. And I've noticed a very different interaction that I have with the 2 men. It's like,
Okay.
this is why I say identity, because I know like different people bring out different parts of you, but to me, it's almost like, am I performing? Is this like an act? Which one is really me? Or maybe they're all me. And, that's just kind of going through my mind. And then with the one that I've been dating a little bit longer, I would say like our intimacy is higher than the other gentleman. And the self-worth stuff is coming up. And I think I connect that to just kind of the way my father is with me. In the fall, I was dating someone for about 6 weeks. And I remember telling my dad that it ended. And literally my dad's response was, mind you, I should say my dad was in the military and this guy was in the military. Let me tell you that piece. He goes, oh, maybe he's like, it's like the 4F club. And I was like, oh, that's some military acronym. Well, it's not a military acronym. It's just a rude, find them, feel them, fill in the blank, forget them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember I said, Dad, why would you ever say that to your daughter? Like, she's so unworthy. So that makes me get teary-eyed. That's why I think it's kind of something there. Because it's almost like maybe someone can't really love the full me. And maybe that's why these 2 pieces are coming out. And I would love a really healthy relationship. And I'm not sure I know what that looks like. But all these things are coming up with dating now. So that's the information that I can share.
Okay. So I'm gonna give my opinion, and opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I think is happening, and without knowing a whole bunch of background, right? So that's why I say this is an opinion. I feel like you're showing the parts of you that feel safe to come forward, that they are all parts of you. And it's not about performance as much as belonging and acceptance. And so that part of you that feels safe with this guy, like that's going to come forward because there's you instinctively know this is going to be acceptable. With the other guy, this will be acceptable because that's going to be safe. Does that ring true to you at all?
I could totally see that. I guess understanding which one is the healthy one.
Yeah, I don't think it's about health or not health. I just think it's about safety and
Okay.
acceptance. I don't think one's bad and one's good, right? Because they're both parts of you. And so kind of like, we can do this in friendship too. And I want to explain this a little bit because I want to really know if this is what you feel is happening. Okay. We can do this with friends, right? Where maybe one friend sees more of a goofy, silly side of you, where another friend doesn't, right? Well, this person is safe to do the goofy with. And so you're like, oh, I feel safe to be this part of me that gets to come out and express itself. It's not that I'm shaming this part of me and not showing it to somebody else, right? But I know instinctively that maybe this person won't value that part of me and doesn't feel safe to bring it out. And so I'm going to hold that part back until I feel safe. Even though being silly and goofy is absolutely part of my personality, not everyone gets to see that. Like in my business world, they're not seeing my goofy, silly part of me, right? They're only going to see that when we get a little more intimate. And so professionalism doesn't really give way for that. Does it feel like that?
Yeah.
Like safety,
Yeah.
We'll get to the dad thing in a minute.
Yeah. Or maybe just comfort.
Yeah.
One seems to be much more, like you said, silly and just like banter and playful. And the other seems to be more like emotional, intellectual, kind of conversing, you know? They're very different.
And it doesn't like it doesn't mean that the intellectual can't get silly or goofy. You just might not have seen that part yet. He also may be like you, holding parts back of himself, right?
Yeah.
Is it safe? Is it safe to come out and play? And so, you know,
Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
and the other guy, you know, he may not I can't say he might have intellectual side of him because not everybody does. But he does have wisdom, I'm sure, and like depth, right? Is he going to be that guy that actually shares that part? Does he even know it's there himself? Right? And so, yeah, just some questions there. Any thoughts on this before I move on to Dad for a minute?
No, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
I think I was getting too into analyzing it. So I think that does make it feel easier.
Yeah, that's fun for you dating two guys.
I'm just trying to get to know people and like not rush into a relationship, because I do that sometimes so quickly. And then I'm like, did I really know them?
Right. I love it because I feel like dating more than one person helps keep your heart in check. Right. In the sense of like, if you are quick to jump in all in right away, you're going to hold that back a little bit because you're considering another person still. There's another person.
Yeah.
And so it's not until you actually start feeling those deeper feelings and then your heart's like, no, I really feel this. I'd like to pursue more with this one. Then you make that decision.
Yeah. And I'm kind of on the cusp of that, I think, but I'm gonna let it play out a little longer.
Put your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly. Your other hand on the belly. Take a deep breath in. Repeat after me. I can trust myself.
I can trust myself.
I'm connected to my heart.
I'm connected to my heart.
I make really good decisions. Come on. Let's talk about that.
I make really good. I can't even like get myself to say it. Oh goodness.
What feels true? What can you say that feels true?
I want to make better decisions.
I want to make better decisions.
I want to trust myself in my decisions.
Yeah. I'm working on making better decisions.
I'm working on making better decisions.
I'm in the process of that.
I'm in the process of that.
There's a lot I've already learned.
There's a lot I've already learned.
And I still have room to grow.
And I still have room to grow.
And I'm doing a good job.
And I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
That one came up. I was like, I can't do it. My body didn't want to let me do it.
No, because your nervous system's like, not true. Not true.
I was trying really hard to get it out.
See, and that's a great example of what I talked about earlier. Like, we don't want you just faking it till you make it. Find a truth that's actually true around that thing.
Yeah. So
you gave us a great example of that. Okay, so let's talk about Dad. Do you want to do an encounter?
Sure.
Okay. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to go back to that moment when you're telling your dad about this guy and your dad uses the 4F terminology. How long ago was this?
That was in November.
November. Okay. What did you say to your dad in that moment?
I think I just kind of got silent. and said, okay, Dad.
Okay. Let's have a redo. I want you to now actually say what you could have said if you had it to do over. What would you, Dad says the 4F comment, what would you like to say instead?
Dad, I really wish you could build me up instead of making me seem so disposable and unwanted. It would be really nice to know the love of a man without it always being kind of sexual.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm curious why you talk to me like that. Like, don't you want me to feel good about myself?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you mad about?
I'm kind of ticked off with both my parents for never like, as a parent myself, if my son were to date someone like some of the people I've dated, I feel like I'd be like, you deserve better than that. You're too young to be tangled up in this kind of mess. These are what healthy things look like. I'm angry that I didn't really get good guidance.
Yeah.
I'm angry at my dad just for like not making me feel like just as me, I'm completely lovable. It's always been around like attraction and physical, but like that my heart and my soul are lovable.
Yeah. So good. What's not okay? What do you want your dad to know is not okay?
You can't talk to me like that. It's inappropriate. It's uncomfortable. It makes me angry.
Mhm.
I want to have a good relationship with you, but I don't want, and I want to be able to share parts of my life with you, but I stop because of the way things go, our conversations go.
Yeah. I want you to pay attention to how you feel in your body, feel in general. How are you feeling right now?
I just feel like resentful and like my teeth are kind of like clenching a little, disgusted.
Okay. I want you to really focus on that and breathe into it. And let whatever comes come. Like whatever's going to come, just let it come. It's okay.
I actually feel really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
feel
okay.
like he's robbed a lot of my innocence.
Yeah.
Like, even like as a teenager when dating should be like pure and cute and innocent, it was always twisted in talking with him.
Okay. It's not okay. Not okay. You are right in feeling that way. You're not a bad daughter for feeling that way. You're actually protecting yourself in ways your dad should have protected you. So feeling that way and resisting in that way is a good thing. Your dad should have protected you. He should have guided you instead of making you the butt of a joke, the butt of a dirty joke. What do you carry that isn't yours to carry when it comes to your dad?
Just in case.
I don't know, maybe some of his pain.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess his twisted sense of like what relationships are. That people are disposable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Are people disposable?
No.
What is your dad wrong about?
Well, I'd like to think that he's wrong about men, or the vision that he's like put in my mind about men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I want you to see the Lord come into this moment. I want you to ask the Lord, is my dad wrong about men? I want you to see God's face. I want you to feel his presence. I want you to really experience this. Genuinely ask him this question.
Where does my dad wrong about men? He just says, he said, not all men, people are in different stages of pain, but there are really good men out there.
I want you to ask the Lord, am I disposable?
Lord, am I disposable? He says, no, that I'm his miraculous creation.
Wow. Ask him, am I wanted?
Am I wanted, Lord? Yeah. And then I'm always wanted by him.
Ask him, will a man love me for me?
Lord, will a man love me for me? He said, yes, so many already do.
That's great. That's a beautiful truth.
But it felt more like my friendships.
Sure. Sure. Ask him specifically then, romantically, will a man love me for me?
Lord, will a man romantically love me for me? Yes.
Your heart and your soul, not just your body.
You love my heart and my soul and not just my body. Says, yes, those are the most beautiful parts of you.
I want you to look down, and in your right hand, you're going to have resentfulness, and in your left hand, you're going to have disgust.
Should I open my eyes or keep them closed?
Whatever feels best.
I think opening them.
Okay. How do you feel about holding on to resentfulness and disgust?
Feels heavy. Don't want it.
Okay. You don't have to carry that for your dad anymore. You don't need those to protect you from him. But they have protected you somewhat, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you want to still hold on to them. But you also have an opportunity right now to give them to the Lord and let them go if you want.
I do.
Okay. It feels safe to do that? Okay, good. All right. So
Yeah.
go ahead and give those to the Lord and tell me what happens.
Sometimes I think he's so funny to me.
Oh yeah, he's funny. So yes,
It's
receive
like
that.
I've been
He actually,
waiting for these.
that's great.
But it's just like, oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know. Thank you. Thank you for waiting so long. Ask him what's going to protect you now that you don't have those.
Lord, what's going to protect me now that I don't have these? He just says I don't need to be protected.
Interesting.
Just
So you
kind
don't
of
need protection.
like you've got this. Kind of more
Nice.
encouraging. Like you don't need something to protect you. You'll be okay. You got this.
So it's like a trust yourself thing. You have everything you need inside you.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What's the Lord doing right now?
He's just smiling. He's happy with me.
Oh,
It just feels very warm. Like he's making me smile.
I love it.
He wants to give me a hug.
Do it. All right.
It felt nice.
Beautiful. And that's a space you can always return to. Once you have an encounter, you can always return there. That was a beautiful process. Thank you for doing that with us.
Oh, thank you for helping me and walking me through it. I appreciate it. I feel much better. No more anxiety.
So good. So
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Feels good. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Oh, this is such a good moment. It's hard to end it because it's like, it's so great.
It's okay. It's okay. I feel good. I'm good.
All right, Jesse, who's next?
Janice is
Hannah S.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was processing through some of I had a one-on-one with Jesse actually like a week and a half ago or so about the pain of my mom being absent in my life. And the homework was to journal about it. And I found myself like, if I would have done it at that moment, I think I would have had a lot more come out. But I was working and then I ended up pushing it off. And I pushed it off and I pushed it off until the end of this weekend. And when I did it, it was a lot of anger that came out towards my mom.
Okay.
And I don't know, like, I suppose it probably, like, I feel like it was unhealthy almost, but maybe I'm just overthinking it, and it actually was really good to get that anger out and write it down.
Yeah. Yes.
And I kind of have this feeling of, I don't remember how old I was, but I remember having a conversation on the phone with her. And I wasn't nice. I told her off, like, you don't deserve the title of mom to me because you were never there. You gave birth to me, but like, you don't get that title for me, is what I had pretty much told her. And she just told me that I was the devil and all these things. So now I kind of feel guilty. Like, was I too cold-hearted when I told her off like that? Or like, that was just where I was at in my life. But like, these are the thoughts that are coming up right now for me.
How old were you when you told your mom off?
I want to say I was like 23, probably around there.
Okay. And how long had it been since you'd seen her?
She really wasn't in my life that much at all. So kind of the backstory. I was conceived when my parents were getting a divorce. She raised me till I was about 3, and then she had mental health issues with schizophrenia. It got so bad, we got taken away, me and my brothers. My brothers went to my dad's. I ended up in the foster care system for a couple days, and then he took me. And I just remember every time she would call on the phone, like I don't remember going to go see her for visitation or anything. I just remember the phone calls were always, who's that girl in the background? Your dad's brainwashing you. It wasn't anything to do with me when she would call. So I put up a wall to it. Every time I seen that she was calling, no, I don't want to talk. I've seen her at family functions every now and then, but my family was really distant to her too. So I always had that distance as well.
Tanis, I just think you deserve so much compassion. And I think any kind of guilt you want to feel needs to be thrown out the window, because you carried the burden of this and the responsibility in the relationship. Like, you sounded like you probably had to parent your mom when she was around, but she's making it about herself. She's inappropriate in her conversations. Like,
she's not around anymore. She passed away a couple of years ago now.
Is this why you have guilt, because she's gone?
Maybe.
Yeah. My heart goes out to you because, my mom died when I was 17, and my little sister, who's 5 years younger than me, was 12. And she was in and out of our lives after my parents divorced. And my sister did the same thing you did and told her off on the phone. And then she died like a year later. And my sister never got to repair that with her. And I've watched the pain of carrying that, what it's been like for her to have to carry that in her life. And when you talk about the walls is what she's had to use to like endure it and get through it.
I find it really hard to trust other women in my life now. I find it hard to accept that parenting from other women, because I've done it all on my own for so long.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, I just have so much compassion, so much like, First of all, I'm impressed that you're in a program with women. Like, that's huge. That's huge.
Well, I've tried the whole men route, and that ends up with me getting into toxic relationships, and this is where I need to be.
Right. I'm thinking of the scripture and I just feel like you're partnering with something, right? You know, like there's several scriptures I think that say this, but I think Psalms 27 is one of them. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. And it also talks about like teach me your ways, Lord, and lead me straight into the path, something along that. And I'm watching you do that with him, where you are letting him lead you in a process. And though there is part of you that has walls and says, no, I can't receive from other people, here you are receiving from other people, letting Jesse speak into your life like that, letting me speak into your life. Like there's a part of you that's like, maybe it'll be different, right? Maybe now's the time to heal. And so I just want to recognize that. I want to honor that. I want you to know you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself. You know, how old are you right now?
31.
31. So you're looking at 8 years ago, your mom died?
No, she died 3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You told her off 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then she died 3 years ago. Okay. What I want you to do is have compassion for the 23-year-old of you, because like you now knows a lot more than you then. You have a lot more understanding than you then. And 23-year-old, you just were honest. You were honest. You had been dished out a bunch of shit over the years. You cannot keep giving people shit and think you're going to get back a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Or an invitation to a party, right? Like, that's not how that works. And so you gave what you got. Mom gave you a bunch of shit and you gave her the expression of how you felt about that. Like, nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. So no, I don't think your heart was too cold. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And you're going to grow older and you're going to grow wiser. And there's going to be things that you understand about your mom, about yourself. Just always remember this wisdom that you get, you didn't have at 23.
Right.
You cannot shame yourself. You cannot condemn yourself. You cannot hold 23-year-old you to that truth because she didn't have it then.
Okay.
Right?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because so there's a lot of stuff that my family deals with. There was a lot of sexual abuse that happened within the family. She was abused. Like I just had found out before her passing that she was sexually abused by her brother. And that happened to me as well. And I hold on to a lot of anger towards my one brother for it too. And that's something I'm trying to process through and let go and forgive. And
did your brother molest you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of my brothers did, but I don't have anger or resentment or anything towards my other brother because it wasn't like he had abandoned me after the abuse stopped. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my other brother, he does. Like,
yeah.
holds everything, and it's really messed my perception of love up a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Love
it's put me in a lot of toxic relationships.
Mhm.
And I have to co-parent with these people because I ended up having children with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes it complicated.
Yeah.
Makes it complicated. Um, yeah, I'm holding back some suggestions because some things out of season aren't a helpful suggestion. Okay. So, with the brother that abandoned you, um, would you say he has a ton of shame?
Yeah. I felt like I carried the guilt and the shame of it all for a very long time. I didn't tell my dad about it. I told my best friend at the age of like 16 about the abuse, and that's kind of where it stayed. And then I had told my son's father at the age of 24, I think, about it, and he suggested going and seeing counseling or whatever, and I didn't take the steps to go do it, and that's when our relationship kind of started falling apart too.
Mm-hmm.
After that, and he was the one who, after we split like 5 or 6 years later, he brought it to my brother's attention that he goes, "You fucked your sister up for life for what you've done to her." And that, like, he did apologize to me, but it took my ex to say something to him about it, and there's always tension when we're in the same environment together.
Mm-hmm.
There's always that uneasy feeling.
Yeah, because you have a lot of unresolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do boundaries look like for you?
With my brother or
Your brother in your life, are you good at boundaries?
I struggle with boundaries. I'm getting better with them.
Yeah.
With my brother, like, I have just come to the terms of I've tried. It's so weird because like I want to have that brother sister relationship, and I'll ask for help or whatever, but then it comes back to me as I'm only using him for things or help. That's all I ever want from him. So I'm done doing any interaction with him. Like, he doesn't come and reach out to me.
Yeah. Have you ever grieved the loss of that relationship?
Yeah, I there I have grieved some of it. I My last boyfriend is in recovery for alcoholism, and we had split up, and my brother had said something in front of family like, "Oh, I heard your ex-boyfriend was an alcoholic," and just like blasting it out in front of family and whatever. And I told my dad about it, like, that really hurt what he had said to me or whatever. And my dad was standing right there when it happened. He said, "Yeah, I wanted to say something to him then, but I didn't." And after all of that, like, I really felt like that's not what a true brother does. And I did start, like, he doesn't want to have that relationship with me. And I bawled my eyes out because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's still some grieving to do for you in this
Okay.
relationship. There's more loss that you feel. And how good are you at connecting to things like that?
For the most part, like if I'm alone and I have my dogs with, usually that's my dogs have been like the place where I go grieve.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've always done since I was little. Like I didn't have that. My dad isn't totally in tune with his emotions at all, so it was the dogs were my emotional support.
Yeah. Wow. That's very sweet. And I'm so glad you have that place. For me, mine was the moon growing up. I loved the moon. I felt like it was God's way to like watch over me. I would love for you to take some time, however that looks for you, and really grieve. Like just let whatever comes. I know I say this all the time, but let whatever comes come. We don't need to dig. Like there is stuff right on the surface, right? And if it doesn't come, then that's okay. We need to trust our own process and be okay. Like try again later and not shut down and not call it, label it like it's not working or something like that, because we need to know that we're safe with ourselves too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so sometimes we don't even feel safe with ourselves. And so um it's okay. If nothing comes, there's nothing wrong. And I just want to really reiterate that with everyone. Like there's nothing wrong with you if you go to do some of these processes and they don't work. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It will. You just need to trust yourself and give yourself compassion and love. My favorite, again, this helps with dissociation if you find yourself disassociating. But just getting present with yourself, one hand on the stomach, one hand on the heart, and really just feeling, like feel the weight of your body in the chair. If you're outside, you feel the air. If you're inside, feel the air. Like really just connect to yourself, feel pain, feel what sensations are in the body. And then just remind yourself that you're safe here. We don't have to run from ourselves. We don't have to run from our body. We don't have to run from our experience. We actually hold keys to it. We hold the power over it. We hold the answers because God is inside of us. And so connecting here and not running from here is so important.
Okay.
Even if you're angry, connect to the anger, right? Like I've had moments of anger that were just so rageful that I had to go run it out of my body because I was just so enraged. So I'm running uphill at my house. My house is at the bottom of a hill. And I was like, I'll be back, kids. and I was like, I'm not mad at you. Like I'm gritting my teeth. I'm like, Mom is so mad and I'm not mad at you. And I was like, I'll be right back. I promise. And I ran. I gave all my energy to it and I just rage ran, and so until I exhausted it all, right? And then once I exhausted it all, then came the real emotion. What am I afraid of? Why did that make me angry? What's going on inside of me? What do I need to hear right now? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Are you a journaler?
No. Getting there.
I'm actually not a journaler either. I've had to force myself do it because I saw the value in it.
Yep.
So yeah, but it's something I have to make myself do it. So
Yep. Yeah, this program has made me, I've heard it before, journal, and this program is I'm actually journaling and things are moving.
yeah. The writing helps. So if you wake up off, what I want you to do, if you wake up this way, you wake up, you know what I'm talking about. You wake up and you're just off. You're like, I don't even know what's wrong with me. What the heck? I woke up this way. Journaling's going to be great. I just want you to sit down and just start writing. Don't think about it heavy. Don't try to figure it out. Just be like pizza, sausage, I'm really pissed off because like whatever's coming, right? Like bills, and then just get it out. Let whatever comes come. I've had some beautiful expressions of locked up emotion come out that way.
Okay.
Yeah. You're doing great, Tanis. I'm so sorry that you've had to carry this burden. I'm so sorry that you've had to have a mother who didn't know how to be there for you in a family that has cycles of abuse that they're repeating. But I'm proud of you for breaking your generational cycles. Proud of you.
Not easy.
It's not easy. And it's not easy because you're not only breaking your own shit, you're breaking their shit too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just ladies, every time this feels really hard, remember, this ain't just your mess you're breaking up. You're breaking up a foundation of bullshit. All right. Well, Jesse, I'm gonna leave it to you now. I love you, ladies. I think you're fabulous. I really do. I'm so proud of the work you do. Just so impressed. Seriously impressed. You guys have no clue. I always hope this doesn't come across as word service because, man, I feel it. I talk about you guys. I'm just proud of you. These ladies I get to work with are so powerful. They show up for each other. They show up for themselves. It's amazing. They're so easy to work with. They're so easy to love. They're so easy to champion. I love it. And everybody's jealous. Everybody's jealous. Like even Shara, my friend, she's like, you have such a beautiful space there. I was like, I really love it. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for honoring me with your stories. And that's all I got, folks. Bye. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Tanis. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Bye.